But again, I think, one of the things I know that Kirk believes as strongly as I do is that, I would never, badmouth another manufacturer, because I think, what Fuji is doing is driving Sony, and it's certainly driving Canon and Nikon. We know that these two here, the Fujis and the Sonys, have made the behemoths, the big elephants in the room, Nikon and Canon, wake up and start to do better and up their game, because they basically owned every market forever, and they suddenly realized, well, we certainly don't. Not only do we not own the mirrorless market, we're so far behind. It's not even,
There's a good friend of mine is using now an EOS R that he bought, and he's had some amazing results with it. And I had a discussion today with somebody, and I said, well, I'm not sure that Nikon, Canon, and Sony are thinking in terms of size and weight. Obviously, they're not, because the EOS R and the Nikon Z are both larger than the Sony A7 III or A9 or the X-T3, which is a APS-C camera. But what that is they put this ginormous flange mount on there so they can make silly lenses. Okay, when is the first Zoom F1 coming out? Just so we can say we have it. I don't understand that. So.
No, I agree. But the photography market is a massive one, and it's very competitive, and people are constantly striving for more and better and faster and smaller and whatever, lighter. And I think that at the end of the day, the most important thing, those sort of the trinity, for me at least, weight, cost, and size. And then the overarching one, the one that sort of keeps those three all together in a little bubble, is just the feel and the look of that camera, the photographs it creates. I have Canon friends who absolutely swear by the images, and they love the stuff that their cameras create, and they look at some of my stuff and they're like, that's nice. And there are people who are Nikon shooters who feel the same way, and I feel kind of the same way about their cameras. I'll look at some Nikon images and think, it's a little yellow for me, but that's okay.
It's blue.
I think it's again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that's one of the great things about photography is, we get to this level of camera, honest to goodness, and you're looking really then at, what can you afford, and, look at honest, decent recommendations and reviews. Please don't get sidetracked by Canon fans or Fuji fans or Sony fans going ballistic on somebody else's camera system because it's not their camera system.
By the way,
you need to be, I actually think you should do what Kirk did, which I think is a really good idea, and not enough people do this, which is rent a camera and a lens for a week. It's not going to kill you financially, and it's really worth it rather than just going in and buying a camera or buying one on Adorama or B&H or wherever you buy your gear. And then, a month in realizing that's just not for you. There are really great rental services in almost every city and most nationally now too, that will get you the gear that you want, and you can check it out. And I really advise it. It's like going to, check out a car. Usually you're going to give it at least a test drive before you buy it.
The two that we know of are Borrow Lenses and Lens Rentals.
Sure.
.com, both of them.
Yeah.
Very easy to maneuver through. They weren't hard at all, and somewhere I'll put a link to it. But what I was going to say is that I really, really love the way that Fuji, with their XE3 and their X Pro 2, have that Leica feel to it. And they've come out with their F2 Summicrons, or some people have called them Fujicron lenses, the 23 f2, the 35 f2, and the 50 f2. And it's almost like paying homage to Leica in a way, but it's a very inexpensive
homage.
Very inexpensive way of getting into to a little system that is so easy to use. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking that if I'm completely into the Fuji system, I may very well have a used XE3 and those 3 lenses that travel with me.
Right. I mean, that's the other thing I would say is, I with the exception of 2 of my lenses, all of my lenses are used. So I bought them either from Adorama, again, or B&H, or Amazon has a warehouse that ships very, very good condition lenses, usually from a camera store or wherever. So I've furnished myself almost exclusively with used gear from that extent, and have not been disappointed with any of the lenses. In fact, Lens Rentals and BorrowLenses.com also do that too.
The same thing.
You can buy a lens that they've had, and they're usually lightly used, or they'll tell you exactly what condition they're in. And that's another great way into this. It doesn't all have to be spick-span new. Cameras function, and they usually almost always will have a warranty, and if they break down, send it back and say, nah, this didn't hold up. But yeah, the Fuji system across the board for me is just has been breathtaking, and I'm incredibly excited. I can't afford the 200 lens that they just brought out.
But we both want it.
Sure. Sure. If Fuji wants to send me one, that would be great for me to try out.
You're not going to remortgage the house for it?
But
sell the car.
But the nice thing is they have a roadmap. They have a roadmap of lenses that they're looking at. Kirkin was talking to me earlier this week about will they be revisiting some of their older lenses, which I think they probably will be at some point, and creating some Mark IIs. Although, as we mentioned earlier in the blog, they upgrade their software on a frequent basis. So unless the hardware needs to be upgraded, and some of that glass is so gorgeous it really doesn't need to be, then there's no real need to just make another lens just to make a Mark II so that you can charge a lot more money for it. I'm just holding this up just because, there's a certain camera manufacturer that seems to do that quite a lot. I like the way that Fuji works with its photographers, and my only plea to Fuji is that at some point I really would love for them to fine-tune a Fuji Pro aftermarket service so that, when I need to send something in, I don't have to kind of endure the, no offense to, regular folks, but I don't have to endure it'll be 2 weeks to 4 weeks for us to turn this around. I can't afford that in my business to be without a camera for 2 to 4 weeks. So, Canon CPS service is second to none. It is the gold star of aftermarket service, and I'm hoping Fuji. It's another of those things that I don't think it would cost them a great deal to set something like this up.
Right.
And, I think it would encourage more pros to finally go across to Fuji, knowing that they would be able to, always have a camera available to them.
I was one of the first members of Canon Professional Services when it came out.
Yeah.
I can remember the guy that set it up. He said,
yeah,
Kirk, you're right in the top 20 here.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah,
me and the guys from National Geographic.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's important. It's really important to know that you have that backup, because things do break. I mean, that's just the reality of the world. I was filming on one of my XH1s, and I inadvertently, or actually it was a dog, inadvertently yanked the audio cable out of my camera, and now the audio doesn't work at all, the input on my camera. So at some point I'm going to send it back, but I need a 6-week chunk of time where I can do that, and that's not easy finding in my schedule. So anyway.
Well, Mark, thank you very much.
Of course.
I really appreciate everything you've done for me, because now I can make an educated decision as to what I want to do, because unfortunately this sits in my bag a lot, and this gets used a lot more.